Hello. In this video we're going to learn to solve a very vexing problem. So I'm looking at Max's game here, but many people have had this problem. So if you look, these object saws here, they've programmed, and I'll actually show you the programming. They're programmed that when they collide with the object brick, they should reverse in a vertical direction. Now this seems really obvious that they're not reversing, they're just completely losing their mojo and they're losing their vertical speed. And there's no good reason in here why this should happen. So what I did is I googled this. Now I actually had to read quite a lot before I found something that worked, and I guess that's part of the lesson of what I'm saying is you certainly do need to click through off Google through to pages, and you might need to read 5 or 10 different pages before you find something that works for you. So this person has said, it seems the event is executed twice if the object you collide with isn't flagged as solid. And so I went and had a look at it, and sure enough, it isn't flagged as solid. So I tried that, but that actually doesn't solve the problem. So I'm going to show you this. The object saw is solid, and I think the object brick is already solid. And when I run it again, I think it's still going to stick. But let's just have a look at this and see for sure. So we go there, and it just stops. It doesn't execute the reverse as it should. So I was thinking, well, if it's flagged twice, I need to find a way that it can't be flagged twice. And so this is how I solved this. I say with the saw, when you collide with the brick, it's not going to reverse straight away. What I'm actually going to do is when it's created, I'm going to create a variable called wait for it. Now, this variable could be called all sorts of things here, but I'm going to call it wait for it. Wait for it. And it's going to be in 0, which means, in my mind, that there's no waiting necessary. But when I hit the brick, I am going to check, and I'll just close my drawer there, I am going to check to see if wait for it is 0. So I am using this one here, and if wait for it equals 0, then I'm going to go right ahead. This basically means I haven't done anything recently. Well, what am I going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set wait for it to 1, which basically means I just touched a wall. So wait for it to 1, and then I'm going to reverse direction, as you can see there, and I'm going to reverse vertically. Now, I need wait for it to be turned off, because otherwise it's going to be in this one state where it's not going to be able to bounce off things. So I'm going to set an alarm. And just for safety, I'm going to set this to alarm 11, because that's the last one that people use. So when I hit it, it's going to check if wait for it equals 0, which it will at the start of the level. It's going to set it to 1, and it's going to do the reverse, so that it can't do multiple reverses because we've changed this variable to wait for it to 1. And then I'm going to set the alarm. And when the alarm goes off, which I set in here, so when alarm 11 goes off, I'm going to set wait for it back to 0, so that it is free to collide again. So just to revisit that, I've defined the variable when we create it. I trip it over to 1 when we have a collision, and I do my flip, and then the alarm sets it back to 0 so that I can do another flip. Now, this should work. But with all such things, you never quite know. Let's have a look. There you go. And it is bouncing perfectly because it can't do that double collision, because it's got that little built-in timer with the wait for it where it goes, no, 1, wait for it, and then goes back to 0. Yes, I can fire off again, so that it builds a bit of a buffer into it. So I hope that's useful to you. And what I will actually show you, one last thing before I finish up, is I'm going to convert that to GML code, which it warns me as a one-time operation. And if you wanted to, you could just put in a block of GML code and do that bit there just by writing that code. But you certainly can do it with the blocks. So I think this should save people a lot of pain.